with the tenets of Ismailism. I can never make sense of how the Quran and Ismailism connect, because Ismailism is all about praying to Aga Khan, going through Aga Khan for all acts of worship, whereas the Quran is like, well, pray to Allah directly. Allah is a God. You know, you don't need to do this. The people before you, they were destroyed because they used to pray to other people that can't hear them. You know, it even says, do these people you pray to hear you? Do they answer you? And then it talks about how people that pray to and worship Jesus would be like, no, I have nothing to do with them. You know, I didn't tell them to worship me, whatever. So this is Ismailism, and this was my disconnect. When I started to read the Quran, I was like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense to me, and this doesn't add up with what I know about Ismailism. And when I started to go to the Ismaili, I was still going to Ismaili Jamaat Khana, I started to feel more and more weird about it. Like, how is it that, you know, when I'm praying, I'm bowing down? I don't know why I picked on this thing, but I felt like, oh, I'm not bowing down all the way. Whereas with the Islamic Salah, you put your whole entire head on the ground and it feels better, it feels good. Whereas the Ismaili prayer, you just kind of like bend down a little bit, and then you have the men and women together in the same place. And, you know, in a way, you know, the type of like a strict fundamentalism, appeals to people, and it appealed to me in the sense that women and men are segregated, and, you know, this is better, this is more pure. You know, I would hear people make comments like, oh, when I go to Khane, you know, it's distracting, the girls are distracting, and I'd be like, yeah, see, I knew it. This is why in the mosque, you got the women behind and the men in the front. Like, that's because, you know, we don't want them bending down, and, you know, we're going to be distracted. I mean, this and that, you know, not like, well, what about the women? The women are going to be distracted too, like looking at you bending down in front of them. Don't you think? Like, women have, you know, like, women get attracted too to these things, right? But anyways, I guess that's where I would differ with Islamic jurisprudence about putting women behind. Obviously I don't see the point. So Ismailism is very modern. You know, Aga Khan, he never talks about heaven and hell. I never ever heard him talk about heaven and hell. When you ask Ismailis, common Ismailis, they don't really say much about it. They don't know much about heaven and hell. I don't know what they believe. Like, everybody has a different opinion, and Aga Khan himself doesn't talk about heaven and hell. I never heard him talk about heaven and hell as an Ismaili for so many years. When I asked my dad, I don't know, my dad was kind of skeptical about heaven and hell and hereafter in general anyways, so he didn't have an opinion. Some people told me that, one of the older Ismailis I know told me that, yeah, when they were young, you know, the preachers used to talk about hell, and they used to talk about heaven. But Aga Khan himself never talks about it. He talks about my beloved spiritual children. It's very important for me that you come to Jamaat Khana, that you say your prayers. You know, I think that you're a good person. I don't really remember too much, but for sure I remember your education is important. Your education is important. Your education is important. I remember that volunteering is important. Being a good member of society is important. I don't remember too much more about what Aga Khan taught, but I do know that he never talked about heaven and hell, which confused me, because the entire thesis of the Quran is heaven and hell, is hereafter, is day of judgment, is like fearing God. And if you look at the Sunni hadith, it's all about the hereafter. It's all about the next life. It has nothing to do, I mean, there's some things to do with this life, but the entire emphasis of Islam is worship one God, and don't make any shirk, which is, you know, making partners with God, praying to anybody else. And yeah, it's all about hereafter. But Ismailism, like I said, it's more modern. I'd say it's easier to practice because it doesn't put too many restrictions on you in terms of like, you know, don't take a mortgage and don't do this and can't listen to music. And like some followers of Islam believe music is haram, forbidden. You know, so there's still some good values there, but the religion itself is much more modern and easy to follow. What else can I say about Ismailism and my journey from Ismailism? So Sunnism appealed to me a lot. I felt it was a good, clean, straightforward. It's very, very straightforward, Sunni Islam, compared to any other sect, I'd say. It's just like, you know, pray, you go to the mosque, there's nothing there, it's just an empty hall, and you just say your prayers, you go home. The nikah ceremony, the wedding ceremony is very, very simple. You gotta have 2 witnesses. That's it. You make your ijab and qabul. And whereas you see a lot more rituals and stuff in Ismailism, not that it's a bad thing, and I don't have anything against Ismailism. Honestly, Ismailism, like I said, it's not, I don't think it's bad for humanity in a sense because it's very straightforward. I do feel like Aga Khan, you know, I don't think he answers anybody's prayers. I don't believe he knows anything, any knowledge of the unseen. I don't think he actually has any ability to help anyone when they die in any way whatsoever. So, you know, but then again, I'm now an atheist. I don't believe in any religion, and I don't think there's any such truth to any claim. So I don't know if it really matters, you know, which religion you follow. But for sure, if you're an Ismaili, your life will be not as difficult as if you're a strict Sunni Muslim. the Ismaili religion is much easier to follow and much less difficult. What else can I say? I used to think that Ismailism, I used to think as a Sunni that Ismailism is completely garbage and it's not based on has no real foundation for truth whatsoever. But now that I have left Islam and I've become more critical about the Islamic texts and I've looked into it a little bit more, I realized that the entire hadith literature itself is not based on any serious, solid foundation. And so, whether it comes to Ismailism or some other sect, there could be some basis for validity in their sect as compared to the Salafi or the Sufi or any other sect, because the reality is it's very hard to know for sure what it is that actually Prophet Muhammad actually said, because there's a 200-year gap between when he said it and when it was written down. And between that time, I mean, we have a bunch of books like Imam Malik's Muwatta, and we don't really have the earliest versions of it. And anyways, I'm getting off topic. I don't want to talk about that too much. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, my little journey from Ismailism to Sunni Islam. How is life as an Ismaili? As an Ismaili, like I said, I felt it was a very watered down version of Islam. Doesn't have much to do really. And as a Sunni, I felt the belief in God in a much more stronger way, because there's more ritual, I guess, that you have to do more often, like praying 5 times a day and stuff, and having to make all these sacrifices. Women wear hijab. The community, especially in Canada, the Sunni community, you feel like you're so different from everybody else, but yet you have that connection, I guess. And I'm sure Ismailis have that too, but these are just what I experienced, as a Sunni. I felt like the belief in God was stronger compared to like Ismailism. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think that Sunnism is necessarily more correct than Ismailism. At least based on the Quran, I feel like Sunnism is closer to the Quran. But like I said, when it comes to the hadith literature, there's so many problems, and so who knows, which one is actually correct. In fact, probably none of them is correct. They're all made up, right? And in a way, people benefit. You have to look and see who's benefiting from the religion, right? In terms of Ismailism, there's a huge group of people that benefits from the religion in terms of the higher ranks of the people in the community. The actual Aga Khan himself benefits immensely from this, what I feel is a bit of a scam, because you're praying to him for all these things and he's not going to help you with anything. So I mean, what's the point? Better to just follow your intuition and your goodness inside you, and maybe secular humanism is a better option than any of these religions. Even the more progressive versions, I feel like it is kind of pointless, and maybe we gotta get rid of religion altogether and live our lives freely. Anyways, thanks for watching. Take care, and bye.